Hey, good morning, everyone. This is my morning warm up, and this is morning warm up 219. I don't know why yesterday I said fours. Someday I'll get to fours. I'm not at fours yet. So this is warm up 219, and I'm still diving into the book Personalities Impermanent. And I want to talk by Benjamin Hardy, and I want to talk about. Remember yesterday I talked about the four areas of how you kind of become your future self, whether it's the four were trauma, reframe your narrative, subconscious, and environment. And so today I want to talk about reframing your narrative. Do you know that we all have a story? So here's one thing I want you to think about. And this is from Stephen R. Covey. It says, we don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are, right? So the world that you see is the world that you create through your narrative, right? So who are you? So what is your story? And I want you to think about this. Is the person you identify with the person from your past, or the person you identify with the person from your future? Right? Where are you? And I was thinking about that song Glory Days. Or do you ever know people maybe in your social circles that are connected to their past heavily, and that's who they are, right? And so that was when they really loved who the person they were, and they can't seem to move past those past days, right? Because their narrative of who they are is identifying with that past self. And the problem with that is you get stuck. You can't move forward. You can't become your future self if your story is your past self. You ever know those people who they have, everything is the former this, former that. You can't live in a world where you're a former. You have to be, who are you going to be as you move forward? Are you creating a brand new ending, if you will? And so how we form our narrative, let's talk about that for a second. So there's three areas in how we form a narrative. And this stuff happens very, very quickly, very, very quickly. So here's how it works. Step number one is a cause. So when something happens to us, our brain immediately has to give it a cause, right? What caused this? And it gave me an effect, what caused it. Then what we do is number two is we take that cause, and that cause leads to a meaning. We have to give it meaning. Our brain, everything in our life has to have a meaning, because that's how we identify who we are. So that cause happens, and immediately our brain gives it a meaning, and then it takes that meaning and applies it to our identity. And we ask ourselves, who are we? And then the third thing is we then take that identity and we apply it to the world and see how we fit into the world. So I'm going to give you an example. So let's say a young child is sitting at a breakfast table and knocks over their milk on accident, right? Cause. And immediately somebody says, oh, I can't believe how clumsy you are. And so they say cause, effect, oh, that fell over because I'm clumsy. I identify as being clumsy. I have to be careful when I'm out in the world because I'm clumsy. And you guys, that happens like that. That happens that quickly. And so everything that happens to you, your brain goes through that process. So again, it's cause and effect. Cause leads to meaning that we identify with, and then we take that identity and we apply it to how we fit into the world, okay? That happens in 3 seconds. That happens in 3 seconds unless two things. We have psychological flexibility and emotional regulation. But here's the challenge, right? When we're young, when we're at a young age, that cause and effect happens subconsciously, it just happens automatically. And we don't have the ability to have strong emotional regulation because our rational brain isn't fully developed. And I think in women, it's 23, and in men, it's like 52. I'm just kidding. In men, it's like 25. And so at a young age, when that stuff's going on, it's so important to have, right? We talked about this yesterday, an empathetic witness. So as a parent, are you an empathetic witness? And what that's doing is it's helping a child reframe that process that they're going through. So for example, when that milk spills, it's like, hey, no big deal. This happens. This is how life happens. Stuff happens. Let's clean it up and let's move on. That's an empathetic witness. But even as we become adults, there's some people as adults, and let's face it, that are not good at emotional regulation, right? Does your emotions overtake your intelligence? And I think it's so important. And so that's why that empathetic witness is so important, right? So again, let's think about this. So when you're having cause happening to you right now, I want you to ask yourself, are you identifying with the past and that stuff's just happening like that? Or are you stopping for a moment and having emotional regulation, saying, wait a second, how am I framing this? How am I giving this meaning? Is this meaning benefiting me or hurting me? Is this meaning in line with my future self? Which goes back to when you have emotional regulation, why is it so important? Remember, I talked about my 10 life laws that I look at every morning, because that allows me to identify my emotional regulation. And here's a couple other things. that I want you to remember, right? Your view of the world is not so much about the world as it is about you. Your view of your past is not so much about your past as it is about you. You know, Robin Sharma will say that your external world is a mirror image of your internal world. If you want your external world to get better, you have to look at emotional regulation and look at how you're building cause and effect. And are you identifying as that past, or are you identifying as who your future self's going to be? I want you to think about that. So the more emotionally mature you become, the better you become building your personal self. Think about that, right? Read the book too, because man, he gives so many great stories in there about this, and I love the science on how our brain works. All right, hey, yesterday I didn't ride the board. I don't know if you guys remember, but look I've got it today, so I'm just going to jump on it real quick for you. You know, it's been fun getting on this thing and riding it, and so here we go. As you can see, I get up on it pretty quickly. I'm able to stay on it for a long time. I've got to get to the walking. The walking I tried the other day, and I had a little bit of success. I'm not going to do it right now because I'm on the deck and I got too many things around me because I tend to fall off a little bit more. I like to do it in a much bigger, broader, open space. But this part, I've got it down, the balancing piece, and I got to tell you, it is fun, right? So if you haven't got one of these, you might want to look into it. They're fun to have. I have started taking it to the office, which is why I didn't ride it the other day, because I left it there. And when I ride my motorcycle, it's hard to, you know, transport it. And so I have to wait till I dry and bring it back home. Anyway, so there you go. Look at that, you guys. Woo! Fun! Fun. Look how much control I have over it now, as before as the other day. Anyways, all right. Hey, be awesome and help somebody. Vote. Vote. You have the right to vote. Vote. All right, everybody, make it a great day. Talk to you later.